The very first thing that I would like to do is welcome you all and try to ask you all to focus on the title slide, which is electric vehicles, the switch. Now, why did I think about this question? And this is a thought provoking thing that I want you all to do. In your mind, everybody feels this way that, okay, you're going to flick the switch and one fine day, electric vehicles are going to be your thing. It's not how it is. It doesn't work this way. It's a gradual transition. It's not a flick of a switch with which this is going to happen. This should be a reminder. And every time you see a switch, you should kind of believe this. Okay. With that, let me add a question that is going to be helpful for you all. And this is going to break a few things that you all have known to assume. On your left, you can see there's a black car. This is a Ford 150 2011 model. This is SUV pickup, one of the highest selling vehicles in US. On your right is a typical leaf blower. Which one do you think is more polluting? This is what you're talking about. Your assumption that here is a big vehicle and that is the reason why this is happening, that this vehicle is more polluting. It's just the other way around. 30 minutes of this leaf blower is equivalent to 6,200 kilometers for the 2011 model. 2025, if you were to go ahead and look into it, it should be easily maybe 8,000 or 9,000 kilometers. That's the kind of evolution that has happened in this particular thing. If you had compared it with something which was done back maybe 1940, maybe then the comparison would have made sense, right? If you were to imagine an electric vehicle, what comes to your mind? I'm sure it's something like this: a car with a charger. That's how it is. Otherwise, you are not able to differentiate between what's an electric vehicle versus what is not, right? Or maybe something like this, where it's an electric two-wheeler or a three-wheeler, because you are bombarded by this is what is there on the media that you're going to kind of see, right? That's what it is. But why not this? Where you see there is an electric tram that is there is a van that is there is a bus that is there. Train itself is an electric machine that you're talking about, right? This is the question that is going to be important. Rather than talking about why do we need electric vehicles, the key question to focus on: why do we need vehicles? What does it mean for you? And from there, we can go ahead and think about it, whether we need electric vehicles or not. It essentially means freedom. If I were to remove, there's a Bandh one day and you don't have vehicles, buses that's there, you are not able to go there. Today you have the means to go and travel anywhere and everywhere, right from the Yulu bike that you see to the plane that is there, right? Transportation is what we're talking about, and all these are vehicles that we're talking about. It essentially means freedom. Now, there are a lot of things that were going on, and there is no conclusive one way to go ahead and answer that, okay, this is the reason. These are all deductions that we have made. There is no authority that can come and say that, hey, this is the reason why this is happening. These are all observations, small facts that you can think of. Electric vehicles as old as 1891 is what we are talking about. Back then, there were only horse carts that were seen over there. If you had asked, and I think Ford had said this, that if I had asked the customers, what do you want at this point of time, they would have said, I want stronger horses that do not get tired. Nobody was thinking about automobiles at all. The same thing is going on right now also, where you are so used to the diesel petrol that is there that you want, okay, less polluting, I want more power, less cost, xyz, but you're not thinking about anything else. And that is the reason why we're talking about mobility as a mindset is what we are looking at. You should not have a one-to-one comparison where the way you had been doing things with a diesel or a petrol vehicle is what you should expect over here. This is the question that we all are bothered about, the burning question. Which one is better? If you can answer this question conclusively, I think we have a winner as to what needs to be done, what cannot be done. So which one do you think is better? We have been working for over 120-25 years where we have gotten the diesel or ICE vehicles to where it is. If you were to think about the first ICE vehicle that was there, nobody was interested in it. If you have seen that the first one where you had a forward crank pulley that had to be done to get it started, nobody was interested in it. It was extremely noisy, it was very polluting, forget about suspension and everything, really horrible. But it was there. That's where EVs are currently as a comparison. So trying to compare the two, is not really fair. But again, I'm going to make a decision whether I want to use an electric vehicle or not is based on what is the current maturity level, right? But give a little bit of leeway over there, and it is getting better, right? All the time, that's the way to think about it. Have you all seen this picture before anywhere? Okay, no problem. These are the main components that we are talking about, right? And the most talked about thing is the battery. Uh, it is currently the most important part, but it is because we don't have enough demand for these vehicles. Slowly, when we have very large scale demand on these things, the cost is going to come down. And then when you start doing it as a percentage, maybe we'll not say that the battery is the most important part of it. Maybe something else is going to be considered. According to me, this is the heart of electric mobility. In a normalized engine, the main cost is from your engine, right? If the engine is not really working fine, it doesn't really matter to anyone. The same thing applies for an electric drive also over there. But currently, this is such a mature system that we have, is that okay, extremely reliable. We don't really have to think twice about it. A lot of variety that is available. But still, it is a very complicated thing to go ahead and build. This is the heart of the entire thing. Not so much discussed. I'm sure the battery evolution is something that we all have seen. The costs are coming down, the energy density keeps on increasing, the availability keeps on increasing, and now we are talking about maybe even 1,000 to 1,200 kilometers range that we might be able to get from the same battery that we're talking about. New chemistries are being thought of every day. We are trying to make it more cheap. How can we produce it right in front of you so that it is much more cheaper and much more economical to bring it over here? But the future of not electrification of mobility is going to be more of a shared mobility that is there. As I said, 95% time your vehicle is sitting idle. It does not make sense. You should be able to go ahead and use the way when you want to use it and somebody else takes it on rent. It should be treated almost like a plane where if it is sitting idle, it is not making any money. It doesn't make sense. Imagine if is utilized really well, your actual expenditure is going to be really low. That's how it is supposed to be. And it has to be mass. We're talking about buses, trains. Bigger the size, the better it is. The savings are even more. It might not be a point to point thing that you are used to right now or the freedom that you get. And hence, we are talking about mobility and not of electrification. You might have to walk for 150, 200 meters. Then there is the last mile connectivity that is there. And from there, you need to go to a mass connectivity that is there. What are the hurdles to adoption? Very expensive. Can't help the fact that if the upfront cost is that expensive and even the loans and all that you would want to get doesn't really work this way. Government has done its part. The adoption is increasing once the volumes get to a particular place where we are producing in much more bulk and mass. Right from components to the actual vehicles, it will keep getting cheaper and cheaper. Charging infrastructure gaps that we're talking about, it's less about the infrastructure, it is more about availability of electricity at a lot of places. uh, do you have enough amount of it? Maybe the chargers are not in good condition, or it does not meet the criteria of whether it fixes to your port or not. A lot of these things are there, but I would just want to remind, as always, petrol was not available and petrol bunks were not there everywhere, and still we'll see that there's a new petrol bunk coming up. But once you have plenty, then you become comfortable with it. It is getting there, it will get there. You have alternative technologies like battery swapping that is coming in over there. Currently, charging infrastructure would mean that your charger, your network, then only it works. Slowly it will get to anyone's charger, anyone's charging network, anyone's cable will get there. That's what is there. Range anxiety. You have anxiety. There is no problem with the range. The range is what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. But we are right about it, where there is a question that says that okay, no, this is what is being advertised as the actual range, but when you try to do it, when you try to drive, it doesn't give you the same thing. Well, it's physics. uh, the range is defined by the amount of work that this vehicle is going to do. Tomorrow, if I decide to go uphill and I add four extra people, and given that this is a 95% efficient vehicle, there is practically zero loss that we are talking about. Obviously, it is going to impact your range. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have range anxiety. We are developing systems where if four people with additional material on the trunk and you go ahead and put a navigation where it says that I'm going from point A to point B and I have enough data about the terrain, I can go ahead and say, hey, this is the actual range that might be. Google Maps was not able to predict that well. We got to that particular place where we can almost nail it and say that up to the last minute how accurate we are. It's getting there. You're right to be anxious about it. We are going to give you the means that is needed to deal with this range anxiety. Make it happen. By and large, we don't really feel that you would need that kind of servicing because we don't have parts that are going to fail. But in an off chance that something happens, you should have access to these kind of servicing. Given that we are in an age of OTA where we can go ahead and push solutions remotely, this is a very simple thing and it doesn't break that often. Having said that, the convenience that you have thinking about it, that okay, there is a tow center or there is a mechanic who is on the side of the road who probably will be able to help you with your vehicle, is not there for electric vehicles. That's also something that is evolving. Like we all are evolving the way we are developing these things. Similarly, they are also evolving, learning new things, how to go and do this servicing. But these are, according to me, the real reasons for poor adoption. Lot of misconception. You, as I said, the very first thing that okay, which one is more polluting? Don't know. There's a lot of discussion that is there where we say the electric vehicles are more polluting than the IC if you were to go ahead and take the mining and the entire cost that is there. You have to kind of have a little bit of system thinking that we have got this unit very efficient. The other parts also will have to be made efficient. Hence, it's not one switch. It has to happen gradually. Piece by piece, we are going to go ahead and make it. Right from coal being replaced, and we have entirely the renewables over there. And that is the expectation that has to change. Standardization of requirements. The way we spoke about the charging port that we are talking about. There are a lot of things that are there that needs to be standardized. Good reason for not standardizing upfront. It's a very nascent industry. If you go ahead and standardize it right away, right now, what's going to happen is that it's going to stifle innovation. Do you want to go ahead and make the requirements at least standard? Maybe that would make sense. Government needs to participate in this. Just like railway is a service. Uh, why not go ahead and do a PPP partnerships on specific routes where they go ahead and take care that we will ensure that you get electricity consistently and we go ahead and run and operate the show. Just one example. There are several things that need to be there. Whenever there is inertia where the private players are not going ahead and doing this, that's where the government needs to come in. Of course, it's going to be a common pool. And understanding supply chain is a very big problem. You try to source something from China and try to sell it in a very distant place. The logistics are not really working. What would you do? How you understand the supply chain is going to make or break the entire difference in terms of the overall cost that we're talking about. The same thing applies for the electricity also. Where is it getting generated? Where is it getting utilized? How it is getting done? All of it is something that we need to have a deeper understanding with a system mindset. Last thing that I want to leave, please be hopeful. Don't follow the hype that is there that this is happening, that's happening, right? Be hopeful, things are getting better. Don't follow the hype, and we are going to get better.